Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Inkdependence.com. I'm Mike, and today we're taking a look at this ink. This is from Birmingham Pen Company. This is a little bottle. They come in these boxes now. It didn't actually come with this box when I got this ink back in June? Yep, June. This is Albert Einstein's relative Cadmium, and as you can see, this is a nice orange ink. And I really like that these are little glass bottles. They are 30 mils, and they go for $6, like $5.99. This one is out of the current rotation that they have. They rotate their inks through, so I'm sure this one will be back. You can sign up for it on their website at birminghampens.com. I bought all of these. Kind of got a bunch of these because I really got on a Birmingham ink kick. You saw me review Tarnished Nickel earlier this fall, and I really liked Tarnished Nickel. It's been in so many pens, I can't get enough of it. This one, I'm a little bit more torn about. There aren't too many inks that I've had which are more dependent upon the nib and the paper you use. This one really depends on nibs and papers. So let's take a look at them. Here, bam, is the ink, and this is on my usual Rhodia 80 grams per square meter paper, which is nicely coated, so you get all kinds of shading and sheen and all that sort of thing if it's available. This one doesn't really have shading or sheen. It's a pretty well saturated ink. No big surprises. It's going to be that color. However, you'll notice that the two pens I used, and you can tell which one's which because they are wildly different. I started out using it in this, which is a Sailor 1911. This is the Royal Tangerine color, and this is a hard broad nib, but it's a little bit on the drier side, and it's a Sailor hard broad, so it's not really all that broad. And so I had it in this pen, and man, I just I didn't love it. It's quite pale. It feels a little bit dry in this ink, or in this nib. Even, I mean, this nib is a little bit on the dry side, but this ink doesn't feel great in it on a lot of papers. So I was like, well, when I refilled that one, I was like, maybe I'll just put in a different pen. So I put in something that's very different. This is a Faber-Castell Ondoro, and this has a medium nib, but nonetheless, that medium nib is a lot wider and a lot wetter than the broad on this Sailor. So I said, well, let's see what happens if we give it some room to run. And the answer is that you get a much different color. So that's weird, right? And also, like, way different presentation on copy paper and that sort of thing. As I say here, it totally depends upon the nib. This is the Sailor. Goodness, second time I've done that. This is the Staples 20-pound, 30% recycled copy paper, and as you see this top line, this is that Sailor pen with the hard broad, and you can see it's quite pale. It actually feels a little bit scratchy on here. It just doesn't feel very good. And then the bottom line is done with that Faber-Castell Ondoro medium, which you can see here had a lot of spreading. Not really feathering, but I think it's just because it spreads so hard. And then as you turn it over, man, look at that. This one performed just fine on here. No bleeding, except for like a couple of dots, I guess. Maybe where I paused, or maybe there's a weak bit in the fiber. But from the Ondoro, you can just, I mean, you're not going to use the other side if you use this Ondoro. So, man, it really depends on what you use. And we'll see that, actually, let's go ahead and see that now. This is the ink journal. This is Tomoe River paper. And here is the Faber-Castell Ondoro medium, which is, I think it looks quite nice on here. It didn't bleed through or anything like that. I mean, this is Tomoe River. It's just not going to do that. But here is that same ink, but from the Sailor. So here, very nice orange. Here, kind of like apricot. Like, it's very light. I think too light from the Sailor here. But from the Ondoro, it works great on here, and it feels real nice because it feels wetter, because it's just a wetter nib and all that jazz. Then, over here, this is my Inky Fingers currently inked notebook. You can find these at inkyfingers.com, I believe. Just Google that thing up, you'll find it. This is wheat straw paper, and again, a wildly different thing. So this is actually my favorite paper to use this Sailor the Sailor nib with this relative cadmium. I think it looks nice. It soaks in just enough. It also feels quite nice on this paper. I don't know why. It doesn't feel great on Rhodia. It doesn't feel great on Tomoe River. It feels really good on Wheat Straw. And then the Ondoro, I think this looks great as well. But if you asked me if these are the same ink and didn't tell me about nibs or whatever, I'd be like, nah. Because, I mean, the same paper, but wildly different presentation. Much darker, much more like some of the Diamine pumpkins and things like that. So, whereas this is just kind of it's sort of a pale yellowy orange. So, yeah, it really, really matters what you use. So, and then compare those to like the Sailor 173, which is just, there's barely any ink there. So, yeah, really, really heavily depends on what sort of nib and paper and all that sort of thing you're using. So I actually did two separate water test bits down here because I'm a little curious if it behaves differently from the Ondoro where there's a bunch of ink put down and the Sailor where there's just not that much put down. So this is an ink, as I said before, that I'm really kind of on the fence about. I'm not sure what to do with it. You gotta keep it in a specific pen on a specific paper or else you're gonna have a bad time. Man, look at that. It's like fluorescent yellow. That's crazy. Let's get some more on there because, hey, why not? That's crazy. I wasn't expecting that at all. Let me find my phone. I'm going to take a picture of that. Boop. All right. Okay, so let's wipe this away, or rather blot this away. Always blot. Man, look, it just keeps getting more and more fluorescent. That's nuts. And there, as you can see, it's soaking through the paper towel here. It's just more and more yellow. Man, very, very interesting. Holy crap, look at that. Wow. Okay, so I'm not usually super surprised. It's like highlighter yellow. I'm not usually super surprised by what I get on these water drop tests, but this is very unexpected. I didn't see that happening at all. This is the chromatography on that ink, and it does look a little bit like a fire. You got these little yellowy bits down here at the bottom, and then the red, or rather the orange up along the edges and across the top, and not really anything down here. So I wasn't expecting any water resistance, but I wasn't expecting it to turn fluorescent highlighter yellow. Man, totally strange. This might be good for some like really interesting art uses. I bet if you did like some kind of ink wash on this, it would look really cool. Like this looks pretty dope right here with this Ondoro bit. So yeah, man. Weird. Also, the dots here didn't really move much, but the lines did. I don't know what to make of this ink. Again, relative cadmium, very interesting and kind of weird ink. Let's look at a bunch of oranges side by side here. So this is the relative cadmium right here. And then I've got a bunch of different oranges that are like, they're not really the same, but they might give us some interesting stuff here. So this is Sailor's Kenmokasai, which is the sort of new version of apricot. And it's a really nice orange. And actually, this is sort of what you get from the Sailor here. Like that's pretty close from the Sailor. Yeah, from the Sailor pen here. But it doesn't really look like the swatch here. Like I said, weird ink, weird results. Here we have, let's see, this is Pelikan Edelstein Mandarin, which I think is actually fairly close. I haven't actually used Mandarin in a pen yet for some reason. I just kind of haven't gotten around to it. I don't know why. But similar kind of color, but it has more shading and that sort of thing in there. This is, what do we got next? This is Roaring Klingner Sketch Ink Carmine, which is, again, an ink that has like more shading and such than relative cadmium does, but also is lighter on the page than you expect it to be. If you look back at my review of this one, I'm a little bit disappointed in Carmine. It's the sketch ink one that I didn't really care for much, but it does look kind of cool. Then we've got, let's see, here is Robert Oster Pen Addict Fire on Fire, which has more fiery tones and much more shading than relative cadmium. It is a little bit on the dry side, this one, and it's another ink that really depends on what nib and paper you put it on. Then here is, let's see, yeah, here we go. This is Encre Orange, which is from my friend Encantadora. I haven't actually gotten to use this one in a pen yet, although I've had this little tiny bottle of it for like a year now. I got to get on that. Sorry, Anna. And This gives you far more tones, but you get up here the same kind of tones you get in here. So sometimes you find like partial matches and that kind of thing. And then these three are some of my favorite oranges, really. This is Diamine Orange, which I'm a huge fan of. It's in my my little Schoen design fountain pen right now. I dig this orange quite a lot, and I think this is better than relative cadmium because you know what you're going to get and it behaves on paper. Then we've got Ackerman number 16 Orange Bovin, which is a favorite, I think, of everybody who's used it and likes orange inks because this is a really solid orange ink. It's just a little bit on the pricey side, and it's a little bit harder to get here in the States because the people that sell in the States here have to buy it at retail or whatever from Ackerman and then mark it up and ship it and all that kind of thing. And it comes in giant bottles. And then another one that is a favorite of mine and very seasonal right now is Diamine Pumpkin. I think Diamine Pumpkin is maybe a little bit more exciting than Diamine Orange. It's got this like slightly redder tint in there and a little bit more shading and that sort of thing. But anyway, compared to relative cadmium, I think I would go with Diamine Pumpkin pretty much all the time because it feels better and I think it gives you more consistent results. This one is it's a weirdo, and I think that there are going to be a lot of people out there like, yeah, I've got a total use for this like weirdo orange that really I gotta mess with on nibs and papers and maybe like throw some water on to make it fluorescent yellow. It's a really interesting ink, but it's not going to be for everybody, I think. So so far in my my Birmingham ink travels, I've got 2 or 3 that I'm real into, and then this one I'm like, meh, I don't know about this one. This one's kind of a weirdo. So that's that. You can find this at birminghampens.com. Like I said, I bought this, but if you go and buy Birmingham inks, let them know I sent you. That'll, tell them that people watch the channel or whatever. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me if you're going to use this and how. And let me know what your favorite orange is, because, man, I like some oranges. All right, y'all, that's it. Follow me on the social medias as @InkDependence on Instagram and inkdependence.com for the blog, still pictures, all that jazz. I'll see y'all later. Peace out.